And we're back, guys. I'm your host, Good Energy. We're back in the studio. Welcome to Tennis After Dark. And we're taking a look at more first round matchups again for the slams. I will predict every single round. It's free. But remember, guys, this is for entertainment purposes only. Whatever you do is your decision and yours only. Uh, Today, pretty good day, guys. 16 for 20 in free picks. And look, I could have won 100%. There was a couple matches there that I actually didn't really research, and I actually ended up picking. Like, for example, the Barbora match. I said Barbora should win. But when I actually looked at that match and broke it down, I'm like, nope, she's going to lose. I personally took Victoria to win that match. Huge underdog, and it came through. Um, but let's take a look here at these matches. This is going to be pretty quick. I'm behind with my schedule. I got to get some rest because tomorrow's going to be an amazing day of tennis. I'm excited. That's all we did today was watch tennis. We just got through watching the basketball game with the Mavericks and who they play, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Listen, guys, I like Luca, and I'm glad that he's finally giving Kyrie his flowers. I mean, Luca has been on record saying so many times this year, look, Kyrie's the best ball handler in the league. He's the best skilled player I've ever played with. He's unstoppable. So it's good to see Luca give him his flowers. I felt, because he kind of bounced around a couple teams, people kind of lost respect for him and lost sight of how talented he is. And I can tell you guys, I played college basketball. I played basketball at a high level, and I can tell you that Kyrie is by far the best ball handler I've seen in at least the last couple generations in the NBA. And he's highly skilled. I mean, he'll put you in a spin cycle. He can score at will. And the thing is, he's finally healthy again. And who's that one silly guy on the social media that put 300,000 on Minnesota? I wanted to tell that guy, look, Minnesota has bad numerology. You're wasting your money. I knew right away when that number came out that the Mavs were going to win that series. I knew 100% for a fact. The thing is, here's the thing with the public. The public remembers what happened last, right? So if Minnesota has a good game, you got Anthony Edwards all over TV talking trash. That's what the public sees. That's what they remember. And I was actually we were eating in the restaurant the other day, and we were talking. I know the owner. We were talking about the series, and someone else was sitting with his wife. He overheard us talking, and he joined the conversation. And he says, I told him, I said, the Mavs are going to win. And he comes over and he's like, no, the Minnesota's going to win. So we had this great conversation for about 20 minutes. We were just talking about the teams. And I said, let me put it this way. I said, I'm going to break this down simple for you to help you make a decision. Take a look at these two teams last year, okay? And this is how I'm trying to make the point to get through to him. I said, look at these two teams last year. Disregard everything you've just seen in the last week or month in the playoffs. The thought of these two teams playing, Dallas and Mavericks, I mean, Dallas and the Timberwolves, who would you think is the better team last year? Dallas Mavericks, Minnesota Timberwolves. Excuse me, I'm trying to talk fast. Who's the better team? A light bulb should go off and say Dallas Mavericks, right? Side by side, who's the better team last season, Dallas or Minnesota? Okay, and he came back really quick. He said, well, this isn't last year. I said, exactly. That's my point. This isn't last year because Kyrie and Luca, they've had another year to gain more chemistry. They're a more explosive team. They've historically scored more points than Minnesota. And I said, that should let you know that you shouldn't be putting $300,000 on nearly a 2-to-1 favorite for a team that it's not clearly better than the other team. It should be a pick 'em at best, right? So here's the thing. Yes, Minnesota has good defense, but when you have two I coach basketball, right? Here's the thing. When you have a good defensive team, especially that consists of two large big men, like two 7-footers, you know how you just prevent them from being dominant on defense, you push the ball, you run them. You have two explosive guards in Kyrie and Luka. You push the ball, you make them run after you. And first of all, if they score, you get that ball in bounds quickly, push it up court. If they miss, you push it up court. What's going to happen is that type of pace, those big men, they're going to get tired a lot faster and their productivity on defense is going to drop. You do not let them set up. When you have good defensive teams, you don't let them set up. And therefore, you take away their strength. And now, look, by the time the fourth quarter comes, you have the best guards in the league who are good. The number one objective of a good guard is to be the best ball handler. Luka and Kyrie are that. The best passers. Luka and Kyrie are that. Either your best or second best shooters. Luka and Kyrie are your best shooters on that team. Your scorers. It doesn't matter how well Minnesota's looked defensively all year. It's all about the matchups. And when you have fast guards, it's a nightmare for big men. And you heard what Luka said in that post-match interview with Shaq and Charles. He said, look, this guy's slow, Rudy, the defensive player of the year. He said, oh, when I saw him on me, look, I knew I could create my shot because he's too slow. That's how it is, guys. If you play ISO and you bring a big man out to guard you, a guard's going to blow right by him every time because it's too fast. This is what we're seeing. Dallas is pushing a pace where Minnesota can't keep up. And what happens is that takes away their defensive threat. And on offense, you have your center, Karl Towns, shooting 10 3-pointers a game, which is a recipe for disaster if he goes cold, because now you don't have anyone rebounding. That takes away their size edge on offense. And then Anthony Edwards is hanging out on the perimeter. If he does slash, I'll be honest with you. I do think Anthony Edwards is explosive. I will say, in terms of Michael Jordan, I mean, LeBron, people forget how dominant LeBron was, like 2003, 4, 5, 6. He was just toying with these guys. He was so strong. But I think Anthony Edwards does have a gear in his motor when he hits half court that I haven't seen probably since Jordan. I mean, I think Tracy McGrady had a level that was comparable, but Anthony Edwards is explosive. He's dealing with, and I think he will be better if you're going to have to ship Anthony Towns out. Those two, they're not going to fit in the future because Towns is a 7'2" center shooting 3-pointers all day. His post-up game, it's decent, but it's spotty at best. But nonetheless, guys, it's a bad matchup. And that guy that put all that money, look, it's not over. Minnesota can probably win. They might win a game, maybe two, but it's not over. I understand that, but that was a horrible decision. It was a bad number, and now they just have to win one out of the next 4 games. I mean, they're probably going to make the finals. They're probably going to be playing Boston, and Kyrie's going to come back to Boston, and that's going to be amazing. And we'll probably have to go to Dallas. I mean, I've been to both arenas; they're both beautiful. I would say Boston is the more party atmosphere. Mavericks is more of a business type of arena. There's a lot, Mark Cuban's got a lot of suites in there. They're doing a lot of business, a lot of write-offs in there. Boston is definitely by far the more fun arena. Boston's more of a party. It's a party if you go to one of those games. Where in Dallas, it's more of a family business type of vibe. You do get the business vibe there, and I can tell what Mark Cuban's doing there. He did step down, but guys, there's a good chance Dallas is going to win this title. But let's get to these picks, guys. I'm going to speed through this video. Big U taking on Julia Rera from Argentina. Look, Rera she's still pretty green. I do think she's playing well, but Big U, I think Big U is on another level. Even though she hasn't played this much this season, she does look good. She beat Elisa Mertens. I told you she would the other day, last week sometime. I like Big U to win this match. That's the pick there. This match I looked at briefly. Harriet Dart is taking on Linda Noskova now. Linda, look, we gonna call Linda the Iga killer? Are we gonna do that yet? Maybe not. They keep putting, the previous tournaments, they kept putting her in Iga's draw. Now Linda's not necessarily a great clay player. This is one of those disrespectful lines where, and look, Dart's not a great clay player as well. She actually got a losing record on clay. And Dart's lost four in a row. I mean, she's lost to Buxa, Shramkova, Katie Bolter, Sarah Termal. But she is playing. She did beat Timofeva, who's good, Sasnovich, which is good. She beat Garcia as well on the ITF, not Caroline Garcia. But in terms of Linda, Linda's not looking that great as well. She's lost 6 of her last 10 matches. She does have wins over Stefani, who's a decent clay player, and Yelena Ostapenko and Stuggart. But listen, guys, last time out, she lost to Kenwin Jung in the third round. This is a matchup here where I think Dart's being disrespected a bit, and this is I'm going to talk briefly about disrespecting players. We saw today Barbara Kachikova, 7-1 favorite, hasn't played, not in shape, not in form. When you start disrespecting players with these ridiculous numbers, it's almost an indication that there's going to be an upset. If not now in this round, it's going to happen. And this brings us to Iga Swiatek, Linda Noskova. Topic of discussion here. Why not bring up Iga? Listen, guys, Iga's a 5-1 favorite. And look, and I know there's people here from different countries. We know, the USA is the biggest market on the channel. Then it's between Tunisia and Poland, right? So there's a big Polish market on the channel. There's no doubt about that. We know that. We understand that. But what you guys have to understand with odds, depending on where you are with odds, whoever you deal with, they may pronounce things differently. But there's a general consensus of when you're acknowledging a favorite, we term that in terms of, identifying the favorite easily. Like, for example, Iga is a 5-1 favorite. That means if you wager $5, you'll win back one. That's a general accepted term globally, no matter where you are. Okay, 5-1 favorite. So just don't, because I get a lot of comments where you guys don't confuse yourself, guys. And depending, because nowadays you can translate it however you want, however it makes you feel, you know, good or whatever. But the general terms, it's very simple. When we present favorites, that's how we present it here in the States. Eagles a 5-1 favorite to make it to the semifinal. That means if you wager $5, you'll win back one. So that's pretty simple, and I'll always try to explain this stuff simple. But again, talk about the disrespect thing. That's pretty disrespectful. It's pretty much saying that. And look, Serena Williams is the the greatest. Novak's making a push now, and he's probably there. But Serena Williams at one point was the greatest tennis player, male or female, to ever do it, especially in the modern era. She's by far the greatest female tennis player to ever do it, especially in the modern era. But I started watching female tennis because of Serena and Venus. But I'll be completely transparent with you. Serena became so dominant, it got to the point where it's like I wouldn't watch a lot of the draws because the expectation was that Serena was going to win the tournament. And that's kind of what happened with Serena. But you could tell when Serena was going to lose a match. I'm not going to tell you how you would know she was going to lose a match, but I knew when Serena would lose a match, and I would pick the other side because I knew when she was going to lose a match. Now, when we talk about this disrespect, Iga as a 5-1 favorite, that's disrespectful. She's never been that high. And this is to make the semifinal. This is not to win the tournament. I talked about the tournament already. She's minus 150 to win the tournament. She's never been this high in these types of numbers, right? So if you take a look to get to the semifinal, right, to win her quarter, she's a 5-1 favorite. But to win the tournament, she's a minus 150 favorite. That means if you wager $1.50, you'll win back a dollar. She's never been that high. And I'm telling you guys, if they stacked her draw pretty tough on top of that, and she's laying some serious chalk. The disrespect. And this match here is disrespectful. Now, not to say that Nosova's not going to win this match, but the pick here, we're going to take Harriet Dart plus 3.5 games in the first set. Dart's a good player. She's a lot more tenured and experienced than Linda Noskova, even though Linda's a junior champion, former junior #1. She is big time. And Dart's struggling on the season, but so is Linda. I wouldn't be surprised if Dart wins a set and the match, but I'm going to go with Dart plus 3.5 games, underdog money in the first set. That means she could lose the first set. She just has to win 3 games. That's it. And if she serves first, it's even better. That's a pick. But watch out for the disrespect, guys. I've been telling you what numbers to watch out for in the past. If you follow the channel, you know I talk about certain numbers that you want to stay away from and be careful of. And right now, I don't like what I'm seeing. We might be in for a surprise this French Open, guys. Alina Svitolina taking on, who's that, Karolina Pliskova? What's up with her lately? I don't know, guys. Listen, name a player in this current draw to have been #1 in the world rankings and not have won a Grand Slam. You're looking at her right. Not Svitolina, guys. No, you're looking at her. Karolina Pliskova. Now, these two ladies have played a ton of times. They've actually played 10 if you count the lower level. But Pliskova, guys, 13-8 on the year, 1-2. She's getting older. I mean, she's got to be. Is she in her 30s yet? How old is Pliskova? Pliskova's like 30. She's got to be like 30 something. It's crazy how time flies. When did she face Serena in the semifinal at the U.S. Open? Because that was the year Serena could have had the record. I want to say it was 2016, right? Because it had to be 16 because in 17 Sloane played Madison Keys and won it. In 16, yeah, so Sloane won it in 17. 18 was Osaka and Serena. Yeah, it had to be 2016, and I think, did she play Kerber? I want to say she played Kerber, right? So in 16, Pliskova, how many years ago was that? It's 8 years ago. So she like 23, 24, and the full time flies. Unbelievable. Pliskova was getting old, guys. So listen, I like Svitolina to win this match. I think the head-to-head, it's a 50-50 match, and I just think Svitolina's in a little bit better form. So I'm going to take Svitolina to win the match. Who's next? BeatrIz, Haddad, and Elisabetta. This is going to be a good match, and I think it's going to be tougher than Elisabetta's tough, guys. She especially on clay. She's not, and this is going to be a this is going to be a bear hug because we have two players that play inside the baseline. BeatrIz, I think she steps up good and goes down the line really beautifully. And I think Elisabetta comes cross court. This is from what I see from watching their matches a lot. It's going to be a class of styles, and I think each player is going to hold. I'll take the first set over 8.5. That's the pick for this video, guys. Stay tuned. Tennis in a minute. Like the video. Show some love. We'll be back.